teamless. United in the Europa League. Europa League. We tell them one time and we say Europa League.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Friday. Welcome back to another edition of Match Day Reloaded, live as it gets, right here in Panenka Studios. Mick Foley, thumbs up. Yes, we're back for another edition of Match Day Reloaded, and a bit of a bittersweet one. We've done a few this season where, let's be honest, the results 24 hours prior, or in this case about 12 hours prior, haven't been particularly great. There have been worse ones, but I don't know about you. I'm still in a bit of a state of shock as to what happened. And it's weird because after we lost to Liverpool, and we didn't lose, by the way, last night. Manchester United 2, Sevilla 2 at Old Trafford. Europa League quarter-final first leg. But after we lost those big games this season, I was disappointed. I was frustrated. I'm still in just a state of shock as to what happened. And I guess you can call it a collapse, but the way the dominoes fell last night of the injuries, suspensions, injuries, and now looking forward to next week and even looking forward to this Sunday where United are in a bit of a spot of bother. And we're going to get through it all this morning. As always, we're going to be looking at some player quotes, some manager quotes. We're going to get some reactions from all of Team UV, that being Flex, KG, DJ, Kenny, Steph, and also a famous musical recording artist as well. Yes, that's going to be coming later on in the show. But how are you all feeling? How are you all feeling after last night? Still in a bit of a state of shock, trying to piece together what's happened, how it happened. I mean, first half, and I think the reason why I'm still in a state of shock about what happened last night is it's the range of emotions. When we have lost games, and again, we didn't lose last night, but when we've lost games this season, it was very linear. You know, you start poorly, play the majority of the game poorly, lose. Whereas last night, it was just the sheer difference. Starting the game, 45 minutes, Manchester United were brilliant. Absolutely sensational. I looked at that starting 11. Yes, it was missing Marcus Rashford, but I went, Casemiro's back, Eriksen's on the bench, Anthony Martial starts. We started the game so well, even when it's Jaden Sancho getting a goal ruled off for offside after about 30 seconds. But after that, we were fluid, we looked dangerous. Sevilla were poor. Sabitzer gets 2 goals, and it's the build-up play for both goals that really impressed me, whether it's Bruno Fernandes, brilliant pass through to Sabitzer for the first goal, or Anthony Martial travelling with the ball and then giving it to Sabitzer's second goal. And at that point, at half-time, even though they nearly scored and we cleared it off the line, I was thinking, I tell you what, Rashford comes back into this side, Christian Eriksen's just on his way back as well now. What a push to the end of the season. You know what? Maybe we can achieve some things. Maybe we can win multiple trophies. We're going to get top 4, all that kind of stuff. I was thinking, yeah, it's looking good. Fast forward from halftime to the end of the match, 90 minutes, and I know a lot happens in between there, but you're just shocked because you go, wait a minute. Varane goes off. He was down before the first half finished, and he finished the first half, but he goes off at halftime. You go, well, maybe it's just, precautionary. But at the end of the game, Martinez looks to be out for the season. Who knows how bad it actually is. It doesn't look like it was as bad as first thought, but you would still think he's going to be gone for a long period of time. You've got Bruno Fernandes suspended, which that suspension didn't really initially matter too much in the first half because you thought the tie was over. And now he's missing for a really important game next week, and just suddenly you go from a position of strength to a position of weakness, and that's the challenging thing. But as I mentioned, we're going to get into all of it, and it's not over. Obviously, it's not over, but it's a big blow. I think you have to look at it as a big blow because key players are missing, and it's up to those more peripheral players to stand up and make themselves counted now and prove why and if they're Manchester United players, because we've got some massive games and some season defining games, and it's just concerning that some really important players might not be available. You know, you look forward to even this weekend against Nottingham Forest. We were saying we need that Premier League away win just to get ourselves back up and going. That wasn't a given anyway, but with some of the players that are missing, wow, that's going to be challenging. Thursday, away in Spain, Europa League. I would argue maybe Sevilla might even be the favourites now, considering, again, it's an even game. We've got so many players missing. That's going to be difficult. And then just mere days after that, we've got an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Brighton, an in-form Brighton side as well. Again, with those players missing, that's going to be the challenge, isn't it? So I'm still trying to sort of process all of that, process what happened last night, and process what's coming up as well. It's going to be tough, but United always fight back. You've got to react, and you've got to keep going, certainly as well. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. Wade, one of our members, says, feel gutted. I think quite a few people felt gutted after last night. Just Kevin says, it's always Sevilla. And the thing is as well, I don't know about you, I didn't come out of that game last night going, Sevilla, though, they were good. They're not good. They're not good. Make no mistake. I even think with the injuries, if we'd have had 11 men on the pitch, they wouldn't have equalised at the end. They wouldn't have. I mean, the goals we conceded last night were so sloppy and so avoidable. And it's just really, really frustrating. Really frustrating and really concerning. And I think that's why it hurts so much, is because you go from a position of real optimism to almost a feeling of somewhat pessimism, really. And it's just how quickly the pendulum can swing. Really, really frustrating. As I mentioned, though, 2-2. First half, brilliant. Marcel Sabitzer 2 goals. Varane went off at half-time. Erik ten Hag, and we're going to get into his quotes in just a second, said that it was something that he'd been dealing with for the last couple of weeks. In the first half as well, Bruno Fernandes got booked for... I don't understand. I mean, I've done so many of these shows this season. I've done so many Match Day Reloaded this season on poor refereeing decisions. And Manchester United did not draw 2-2 with Sevilla last night because of the referee. Don't get me wrong. But that decision, which at the time, when we're 2-0 up, feels like a stupid decision, but you go, whatever. Now, that's a critical decision. One, how he's determined that is a handball is nonsense. How he's determined that that's, in addition to a handball, a yellow card is absolutely outrageous. And the worst thing is, it's not even the first time that incident has happened in the Europa League against Spanish opposition at Old Trafford this season. Cast your mind all the way back, first Europa League game, Real Sociedad, another ridiculous handball decision on Lisandro Martinez leads to a penalty, leads to us even having to play people like Barcelona because we lost that first game. And then last night, he's like that far away from him. Smashes the ball, handball. And even if you're going to say that's a handball, you'd go, that's harsh. But to book him like it was a deliberate act. Oh yeah, he used his hand to stop the ball going. What a nonsense decision. Nonsense decision. And that's going to greatly affect us in the next game. What a ridiculous decision that is. Now, when it flips it around and the Casemiro potential red card thing, Eric Camella did a tackle on Casemiro. I actually thought, looking it back, I don't think it's a red card. My issue with it, and this is my problem with it, as you know, is consistency. Because reverse the roles, if Casemiro does that tackle, he gets red carded. Make no mistake about it. He's been sent off for less this season. So whilst I don't think it's a red card, we've seen that be given as a red card for Casemiro. And if it was the other way around, he'd have got a red card. Nonsense officiating, nonsense decisions from the referee. Again, not the reason Manchester United drew last night, because it wasn't. But still, very frustrating from the referee, certainly. And now, as I mentioned, we look to be in a position where for the second leg against Sevilla next Thursday, Manchester United could be without Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw, we still don't have an update really on him, Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane. I mean, 3 of your back 4 gone. 2 of your most in-form and best players this season, Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. It's challenging. The season has really well and truly been turned on its head in the space of about 90 minutes. And it's incredibly frustrating. Tabaslow's been a member for 9 months. Big up Tabaslow, long-time member, supporter, moderator here on the channel. Says, I am sorry, but I blame Erik ten Hag 100%. The Maguire bias is insane. He should never ever play this much from the first 2 games of the season and now ahead of Victor Lindelof. I somewhat disagree, Tabaslow. I saw a lot of people going in on Harry Maguire for that own goal last night. He's really unfortunate. He's really, really unlucky. Because he's standing there and the ball smashes him in the face and goes in. You could argue bring Lindelof on ahead of him. And and maybe he should have done that, but he had done that in recent games too, and that didn't work out too much. For me, I would argue that Maguire really hasn't played that much at all this season, and that's part of the reason we've done so well. So I don't think last night's because of Harry Maguire or anything like that. I think there's a strong argument that Erik ten Hag got decisions wrong in terms of substitutions, and we are going to get on to why he made them, because I questioned him after the game, and he kind of explained himself a bit in the press conference. Should he, and maybe could he have left one person available to make that extra substitution late on? Yeah, maybe he should have. But at the same time, you don't anticipate one of your star centre-backs to just go down when nobody's around him at the same time, particularly someone like Lisandro Martinez, who doesn't get injured. And the way he got injured last night, again, was just a freak injury. He just went down. So I don't know. I think that I don't want to be in the position where we draw 2-2 and then or the season takes a big blow and we go, that's Harry Maguire's fault. I don't think it was Harry Maguire's fault. But I do think Ten Hag can take some criticism last night, absolutely. Marcel Sabitzer, of course, the goal scorer, got 2 goals last night after the game, says, it's difficult to find words. We should have finished them off. We had the chances. Unfortunate we gave easy goals away. We can't concede these types of goals. 2 stupid goals, and that's not what we wanted. Very frustrated. You cannot concede like this. It's not focusing until the end. 2-0 up at home. You have to get it done. Now, Erik ten Hag spoke after the game and said that the injury saw us lose the rhythm of the game. First half we played very well with a lot of belief. We should have scored more. And he is right. We should have scored more. We should have been at least 3 or 4 up, maybe even that. Second half, we did once again what we have seen in the last couple of games, particularly against Everton, where you have all of these chances and you don't take them. And it's fine against Everton in the Premier League because they offered next to nothing. But in the Europa League, even against a team like Sevilla, who aren't having the best season, they're not playing particularly well, they're struggling in La Liga. If you don't take your chances and you don't kill off the game, you're going to get punished because the game can swing, and it will swing. Anthony had a couple of chances. I mean, the big one for me is Wout Weghorst receives the ball back to goal from about 6 yards out. He tries to give it back to all people to Raul Malacia when Anthony Elanga's right there. I mean, he is right there. Square it, Elanga, it's a tap-in. That's 3-0. And it's those kind of chances. I mean, you could even argue with Anthony in the second half. A couple of shots he took, he could have laid it off to other people as well. And if you don't kill off the game, you will get punished. Even if it's in fluky circumstances where players get injured and you go down to 10 men and deflecting goals and 2 own goals, sometimes you do make your own luck in those kind of situations. You have to look at yourself. And that's what United have to do today. They have to look at themselves and say, man, we were unfortunate. Man, yes, injuries disrupted the rhythm, but what could we have done more? Do we leave the pitch saying, we did everything we could? We were perfect. Throughout the entirety of the game, that was just a freak. That's just unlucky. We weren't perfect. We were excellent first half. Second half, we didn't take chances. And sometimes, again, you kind of make your own luck. Again, that's my kind of theory on it, my opinion of it. Obviously, the injuries affect the game. And as I said before, if we ended the game with 11 men, not 10, I don't think they'd get the second goal. But that is what that is. Ten Hag continued saying, when Leach and Martinez dropped out with no opponent involved, it doesn't look that great. At the time, there was initially some concern that Lisandro Martinez had snapped his Achilles. That would rule him out for not just several months, but I mean a really, really, really long time. Sometimes Achilles can be like 9 months to a year. Thankfully, it would appear that's not the case. It doesn't look to be an Achilles injury. The latest reports last night, and again, that's from all kind of sources. There was quite a lot of misinformation going on last night, but I think the theory was, or certainly the latest reporting was, that it might be a metatarsal injury, which if it is a metatarsal injury, still, chances are he probably, one would think, again, it depends on the severity of it, he'd probably be out for the season. Because, the season's about 6 weeks left, something like that. The positive, if it's a metatarsal, is he'd be back before the start of the season. It wouldn't be a problem. If it was an Achilles injury, that's when you look into, we need to buy a couple of defenders then in the summer, because we might need a centre-back anyway, and Lisandro Martinez wouldn't be playing until probably 2024, honestly. So, again, if it's a metatarsal thing, that's somewhat of a positive considering the circumstances. As Ten Hag said in the press conference after the game, quote, I cannot tell what it is, but it is not the Achilles. No, that's not the area. He then spoke about Varane's injury, says Rafa was injured, then Martial first start for a long period, so we had to take him off at 60. Bruno, I got a warning from the referee about a second booking, same with Anthony, so I had to make the subs, no other choice. Now that was in response to some of the questions about the substitutions. Certainly I had some questions after the game yesterday. I didn't particularly understand the Bruno substitution. He made a triple sub where he brought on Eriksen for Bruno, Weghorst for Martial, and he brought on Alanga for Sancho. Now, I understood two of them because I never thought Anthony Martial was going to play 90 minutes because he hasn't all season. He's just come back from injury. I understood that one. Sancho, in the second half in particular, I thought Sancho started the game lively and the front three was quite fluid and quite dangerous. But second half, he just completely drifted out of the game. And that's quite concerning too. So I kind of understood that. And again, by that point, it was 2-0. And you say, you bring Alanga on, fine. The Bruno one at the time, I said, well, he's suspended anyway now, so you might as well leave him on. But the referee reportedly giving a warning to Erik ten Hag, saying he's close to getting a second yellow. But then I would also still say, I understand you want to preserve him and not get a red card so he misses even more games. But I would also say to Bruno, who he wasn't the captain at the time because Maguire was on the pitch, but he's a senior figure, I'd say just manage yourself, manage the game. You're not playing next week. Don't allow yourself to get, even worse for the future. Stay on. But that referee, the thing is, again, and I didn't understand this too second half, because there was a period of time in the second half where it got unnecessarily feisty. And I didn't get that. Anthony started sort of showboating and taking the piss out of the players, which I don't have an issue about. But there were a couple of flare-ups, and at the time, I was thinking when I was watching it and the flare-ups happening, I'm going, we're 2-0 up. Why are we getting involved? Why are we getting involved in that? And again, when it comes to, the warning from the referee about Bruno getting the second yellow, senior figure, I'd say to I'd bring Bruno over if I was Ten Hag and say, look, I've just got a warning saying you're going to get a second yellow. You don't get red cards, so again, just calm it down. So I still say I can understand maybe the Anthony one because he can be involved in a flare-up. We've seen him be involved in flare-ups, and particularly on his side, there was quite a few times where him and the Sevilla players were clashing. But when it came to Bruno, I'd say just, look, come on, man. You're an experienced player. Just don't get a second yellow, in my opinion. So I still don't know if that's a good enough reason for me. I understand Anthony, he's a younger player and maybe doesn't have the experience, but the Bruno one, I'm happy for Eriksen to get minutes, obviously, because we're really going to need him now. But I still somewhat disagree with taking him off from that as well. Now, when it comes to the centre-back absences, Ten Hag said, quote, we have very good replacements for Leacher with Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw, so we have players who can replace them, but of course it is a miss. I think Martinez will not play on Sunday. It looks like that, but I can't say what is the diagnosis. I prefer to wait, and then we are clear. We know exactly what it is. I was talking to Kenny last night, and we were sort of saying, what are we going to do when it comes to the centre-back options? If Martinez is a long-term one, which again we still don't know, but I think the solution would be, and again here's hoping, and there's a lot of if buts and maybes here, but let's say Varane was more of a precautionary thing. He's been feeling it the last couple of weeks, so they took him off. It was a precautionary thing. Let's say he just misses Forest, but he'll be back for either next Thursday or the FA Cup semi-final. But I think he'll play games this season. That's my point. I'm still confident with Varane and Luke Shaw as a centre-back pairing for those big games this season. Why? Because we've seen Manchester United beat Manchester City at home this season with Luke Shaw and Rafael Varane as a centre-back partnership. We've seen Manchester United go away to the Camp Nou against Barcelona with Luke Shaw and Rafael Varane as a centre-back partnership. We've seen them do that in big games. So if Martinez is out for the rest of the season, which we don't know at the moment, but if that is the case, Varane and Shaw, that's doable. The issue is they're both currently injured. But here's hoping they'll be back soon. So that's kind of my takeaway from it. There's still a method to get out of this without having to play Maguire and Lindelof in those big games, because they're fine to step in alongside Martinez or alongside Varane in games that don't have a lot of weight to them. But those real season-defining critical games, I just don't think you can forget. I don't think you can trust them. But at the same time, a lot of these things we don't know, and I have seen quite a bit of pessimism, and I was feeling it last night that season's over, forget top four. I would say when it comes to that, let's calm down. Let's see what these injuries look like. Let's see what results we get, because we didn't even lose last night, so let's not write everything off completely at the moment. Let's not do that. We are better than that. I know sometimes we can be reactionary. I know we can be reactionary, but I don't think people would say our season is far from over at this point. It might take a massive hit in 7 days' time. We'll see what happens at the end of next week, because by then we'll know if we're into the semi-final of the Europa League, and we'll know if we're into the final of the FA Cup. But as of right now, you cannot. And if you're a player also as well, I'd have real concerns about our players and our managers' mentality if after drawing 2-2 with Sevilla and losing a couple of players, they go, season's over, we've lost it, we're rubbish. Come on. Let's not do that. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing to say. We have got Casemiro back. We've got Eriksen back. Sabitzer's playing well. Bruno suspended for next week's game, but he's available for the rest of them. Varane, we don't know the extent of his injury. Sure, will be coming back soon. So that's the way we've got to look at it. That's the way we have to look at it. Ten Hag said, I've spoken with Martinez. He is okay. He is calm, of course. And we compete in 3 competitions, and then you need a squad. So if Licha Martinez, Rafa Varane are not available on Sunday, then the others have to do it. When it came to, is Marcus Rashford going to be available for next Thursday's game against Sevilla? Ten Hag says there is a chance. I can't confirm it in the moment. Which, to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked. I think ideally, initially, I think the hope might have been, or the plan rather, might have been that he would have been wrapped up in cotton wool until the Brighton FA Cup semi-final. Now he's going to be forced to come back a little bit quicker than maybe previously expected, I think. He won't play Sunday. I'd be surprised if Rashford played Sunday. And I think it might be Thursday, Sunday for him next week. And I think initially, as I said, I think the plan might have initially been just to play in that FA Cup semi-final, but now plans have changed because that Thursday game's become incredibly important. Nathan with the super chat says, Owen, we already see this ref was card happy. If he's already giving a warning, to me that says he was itching to give the red. Again, I agree with that when it comes to Anthony. Bruno, I would somewhat disagree. I would argue, if you're a manager and you're talking to the player that essentially when Maguire leaves, he's going to be the captain. For all intents and purposes, he is the captain. You would think the manager and Bruno would have enough of a dialogue that he could say to Bruno, look, the referee's just said to me, you're very close to a red. Now, obviously, I can take you off, but I feel like for the team and the leadership, you need to stay on the pitch. So I'm going to keep you on. But at the same time, this is all very, very, very hypothetical. And looking back on it, it's easy to do all this stuff in hindsight. We were 2-0 up. we were 2-0 up, and, we were confident Sevilla weren't threatening us that much, and we were confident that we were going to win that game, and the game was done. So it's easy to say that after the fact as well, in fairness. Let's get some reaction first from Flex inside Old Trafford last night. Here's what Flex had to say.
Stunned, absolutely stunned. 2-0 up, cruising, looking for a third, kill the tie. Even if we weren't going to get the third, get the 2-0, get out, make some subs. Should have been a really, really comfortable ease. And it feels like days ago. It feels like days ago, or an eternity, to that first half where we were waxing lyrical about how good Anthony Martial was, how good Sabitzer's 2 finishes were, him getting forward, and just a really dominant display for the first 20 minutes. And a lot of things have cost us today. Bad luck has cost us, and game management has cost us as well. The injuries are very, very concerning. We haven't got direct prognoses on all of them, but the Lisandro Martinez one looks like the biggest one, of course. Looked like it was an Achilles situation where it just gave way on him. Went down. Very, very disturbing when that happens with a player, if they go down with nobody around them. Erik ten Hag has said since then that it isn't an Achilles tendon injury, but it isn't an Achilles tendon injury, but it could be. It's another tendon. It seems as the media are reporting. Look, the fact that it's not an Achilles directly you would say, okay, that is a positive, but the extent he's going to be missing for, we don't know. We do not know. And even so, he says he doesn't think it's an Achilles, but once they do scans and stuff, you never know. So a massive loss for us with Leacher. He said about Varane, he was complaining of an injury that he'd had for the last couple of weeks. It was a bit of a positive that he managed to get to half time at least. However, that's another concern. A slight positive in terms of injuries that Rashford could be available for the second leg. We're going to need him. So that's the injury front. Luke Shaw, I haven't seen anyone speak too much about him, but we need him back ASAP, especially if we got our two starting centre-backs out. You'd imagine maybe he might have to play centre-back. Who knows? But in terms of the game, it was just an absolute freaky game. Look, we know Sevilla got the pedigree in this competition, but that should not have happened tonight. It really shouldn't have happened tonight. One thing is, a team getting a bit lucky, etc., etc. But another thing is just, manage the game properly. Okay, you might not be at it, you can't get the third. Malacia had a great chance to get the third. We didn't take it. It's a good action from Pelestri to cut the ball back. He gets to Wout Weghorst. We should have taken that chance. Anthony, if that goes in off the post and goes in and it's 3-0, it's tie done, game over. These are the fine margins. But when you're 2-0 up, you've got to see it out. And look, everybody, I've seen a lot of people going in on Erik ten Hag for his substitutions. Here's how I saw it, because I think it's a little bit of both. Some people said this is on Erik and he shouldn't have made those changes, etc., etc. Here's what he had to say in his press conference. He said that he'd received warnings from the referee, who was absolutely shocking today. You saw the yellow card that Bruno got that was never a yellow card, which is why he's going to miss the next leg in Seville. But he said he received warnings from the referee about the yellow cards to Anthony and Bruno. So Ten Hag's looked at it at the 60th minute and gone, you know what, we're 2-0 up. We're not playing the best, but we can make some changes here and preserve those guys, because the referee's a press.
Big up Flex as always. This is an interesting comment from, I believe this is also an Owen. I think this might be the other way of spelling it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Says, can't agree there, Owen. If the ref says he's close to a second yellow, that essentially is saying another foul and he's off. Bruno can't play without risking any tackles. And you know what? This is why I feel a bit conflicted on the Bruno substitution, like I said, because the argument is there to say you're a senior player. You've got a warning from the ref. You've already been suspended for the next game. Play it safe. Stay on the pitch. But at the same time, I do see what you're saying, and I think you're right in that it does. These are things, as I just said, that it's easy to say in hindsight. I feel, because at the time, put yourselves in. If we all put ourselves in Erik ten Hag's shoes, and you're told that you're 2-0 up. It's around 60 minutes, something like that. And you're told by the referee or the fourth official, those two players, they're about to get red cards, or they're one tackle away, or they're one thing away from getting red cards. If you're 2-0 up and you're playing well and you've seen the Sevilla side isn't offering that much, you probably would take them off. And you go, well, I'll bring Eriksen on, because that's not bad, So I get it. I do understand that. I mean, maybe the criticism could be on, not making all of the subs, the 5 subs, and leaving us a bit short. But at the same time, you don't expect your centre-back to go down with nobody around him at the same time too. So there is context to this, and it is very, very, very easy to armchair quarterback and say, or backseat drive, whatever you want to call it, and say he shouldn't have done this, because had it not played out the way it did, we'd have said, oh, fine, rest him for the weekend. So I think the biggest thing to look back on and say that we should have done is kill the game off. We had chances to score more goals and we didn't. We had more chances to. Again, that's a difficult one, and I have seen criticism for Erik ten Hag over the last 12 hours or so, and I think that and I think some of it is fair and is justified, but I do think it's very easy to say it after the fact and remove any form of context out of it, in my opinion. Compost says that Maguire sub ruined us, defending the 6-yard box like his life depends on it. I mean, again, as I said, when it comes to the Maguire own goal, obviously we know what people's opinions are. I've got my opinion on Harry Maguire, that he is not good enough and certainly shouldn't be the captain and shouldn't be at Manchester United. But for the own goal in question, I think it's a freak own goal, honestly. But Again, I think that's harsh. I think to scapegoat Harry Maguire for what happened last night is harsh. As I said, the first goal we conceded, that's the avoidable one. The second one, when it hits Harry Maguire in the face and goes in, people go, stupid Maguire with his big head. He can do nothing about that. What we can do something about is the first goal, because the first goal was just really bad defending. It's bad defending. And I don't know if you guys heard this. I know the guys in the studio didn't, because you have to watch the game without the sound on. But when the ball comes over the top and Malacia, for some strange reason, decides to hesitate, you can audibly hear a chant of away. And I think it comes from the goalkeeper. I think David De Gea tells Malacia away, i.e. hook it away. And for some reason, Malacia hesitates and doesn't do anything. And he looked shaky in the first half. Of all the players on the pitch, and United had a really good performance in the first half, the one sort of danger point I felt was on Sevilla's right-hand side. Malacia did get caught out a couple of times, and they did get in behind him once or twice, and I thought, that's a bit strange. And that kind of continued throughout the second half. And again, I thought that was really poor and so avoidable. And even at that point, even when it was 2-1, I didn't think, this game's going to end in a draw. I thought, that's annoying, because it's given them a bit of hope, and we shouldn't have, because the game should be killed off by now. But, whatever, it is what it is. We'll still win the tie. And then, obviously, the Martinez injury happens, then we're down to 10 men. So, it's really frustrating with that. And again, I thought that was really poor defending and just a really avoidable goal. And, that leads us to feeling very, very flat. And speaking of flat, I actually, before we even go to KG's clip, I spoke to KG on the phone after the game last night. Because he was very flat. He needed a phone call. He said, I need someone to talk to, because he wasn't. He was properly devastated. Bless him. And I think that shows in his fan view. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well, by the way, guys. We've got over 500 people watching, less than 100 likes. So if you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe. See if we can get to 150 likes. Let's get some reaction from KG inside UVH crew. You can see this was a very defeated man. Here's what he had to say.
Fam, I'm burning. Man United 2, Sevilla 2. Yeah, this is the worst part of the job. This is it. This is the worst part of the job. And why am I feeling like this? I'm feeling like this because I feel like it's unnecessary. I feel that's unnecessary, and it's like, where do you go now with your season? Martinez, vital, crucial player. You're talking about a team that we should be celebrating today. 2-0 up. Man United capitulate a 2-goal lead. When? How? And there's so many different things to point at and look at. But we have to start with the top. We have to start like, our manager got it wrong. Like, even as I've just had time to sit down, reflect, our manager got it wrong. Those 3 subs at that moment, it's like, and he should have made better subs. Even the in-game management was wrong. Like it has to be pointed at Ten Hag. Like Malacia was getting cooked the whole game. The whole game, stretching for stuff, missing things. The left side never really got shored up. And he thought, what needs to happen now is we need to make an answer to it, because Sancho and Malacia's relationship, distant cousin settings, there was not a real, there was a lack of relationship there. So he thought, it can only get worse. And it does get worse. If I was, I'm not the manager, I don't have the UEFA badges and stuff like that, but you thought we have to fix that situation. I kept saying, look, even though we're 2-0 up, we still need more goals, because they still look dangerous. There's still a lot happening down the left-hand side. Maybe it's Diogo Dalot that you bring on, but it's like you make changes and look at the names that come on. You bring on Eriksen that hasn't played in a while. Yes, he had a good cameo weekend against Everton, but we've seen what Everton are. And we understand football heritages, as Mourinho said for years. Like, I remember this is the exact same team that we're talking about. You see, oh my goodness. Oh man. Damn it, man. And then again, look at the players you bring on. Elanga. Like, what is that? What is that? What? Elanga, Wild Weghorst, Eriksen, energy-wise, pace-wise, what? Come on, Facundo. Like, Facundo, this is the worst appearance from Facundo. Usually, Facundo comes on, gives us energy, gives us a lot. What I'm worried about is Man United has actually lost their spine. The spine of the team is gone. The spine of the team is...
Big up KG. I tell you what, that lighting did him no favours. Let's be honest. I mean, that light was making that beard look very grey. I mean, he was looking like Nigerian Santa Claus at that point. I saw some of the comments that going, KG's took the result bad. His beard's aged like 20 years in 90 minutes. Whenever he sort of rocked in and out of it, when he sort of went from out the light, he turned into normal KG, and then he went back into the night, and he's I mean, that's a sketch waiting to happen. Nigerian Santa Claus, write it down. Write that one down. Yeah, like I said, he gave me a call last night. He was very upset. So then we started reminiscing about... We discovered a theme with KG that he plays different versions of the same game, and he's done it throughout his life. So at one point, he was really into this ant colony game, and he was showing me all of his ants. Then I said, what are you doing now? He said, I've got a dragon. Then he said he was building something. What was he building? I can't remember what he was building. It might have been like a theme. Yeah, that was it. He said, I'm building a theme park in the game. And I said, wait a minute. Do you remember those games? I think one was Theme Hospital, where you built a hospital. And he went, yeah, I played that game. And I went, and then one was a zoo, where you built a zoo. He went, yeah, I had that game. And then we realised KG only plays games where he has to build fictional places. Whether it's a hospital, a theme park, a zoo, an ant colony, or whatever. That's all of the games he plays. He's a creator. And then he was like, I've been playing the same game over and over again. And I feel like I kind of distracted him after that. That was a positive coming out of last night. Another positive was Marcel Zoo Tycoon. Brilliant game. Yeah, all of those games. Those are the games that KG played, and he still plays to this day. You know, he lives in that fictional reality. He lives in this artificial world that he builds around himself. I mean, I could get very psychological with that because I think that says quite a lot about his psyche. But we don't have time to get into that. What we have to talk about is Marcel Sabitzer, who, again, I thought played very well last night. Advanced role. When he's in an advanced role, he's so much more effective, and we saw that. And he's a good finisher. And last night you went, hey, Marcel Sabitzer, permanent transfer in the summer. That could be an interesting one. Certainly an interesting one as well was Anthony Martial, who, this was another thing I spoke to KG on the phone. I've referenced this before, what is known as the Martial paradox. Now, the Martial paradox, for those that don't know, I learned the other day about Schrodinger's cat, and it made me wonder and it made me think. That is a paradox as well. The Martial paradox is this. When Martial plays, he scores goals, he gets assists, and he plays very well. The paradox is that he doesn't play. Or maybe the better way of saying that is when he's fit and plays, he scores goals, gets assists, plays very well. But he's never fit. That's the Martial paradox. And last night was in full effect. When he plays, brilliant. Absolutely incredible. Of course, he was sensational, particularly in the first half, picking up the ball, travelling with it, passing it to Sabitzer, playing at the weekend, scoring goals. But if we get to Sunday and they go, Martial's not in the squad, he's injured, we won't be surprised. Like we won't, not at all. But he was excellent last night. I still don't think. You know, I saw Paul Scholes say if he stays fit, he could get 20, 25 goals a season. Absolutely, he could, but he's not going to stay fit. We still get a striker next in the summer. Absolutely 100%. Having Martial as a squad player with Victor Osimhen or Harry Kane up front, sign me up. Absolutely. That's options. But I thought he was excellent last night. But he has been. Every time he's played this season, he's always been excellent. But he doesn't play that often. That's part of the problem. What else we got? Let's get some more reaction from DJ. KG spoke to DJ after the game. Here's what DJ had to say.
Yeah, man. It's literally a game of two halves, man. We saw sort of like the best of Manchester United and sort of what we can do when we have the right type of players in the team. And then you've seen the worst of us in the second half, man. You know what I mean? I think stinker all round in the second half. First half, we look sharp, we look bright, opening 10 minutes. You know, Sevilla are trying to, you know, come at us and stuff like that. And we're dealing with it. And, you know, someone like Sabitzer, he links well. I know, he had such a good game.
So good, deserved the hat-trick.
He definitely deserved the hat-trick. I definitely thought he was going to get it. But he linked so well with Bruno. He linked so well with Martial. He gets two goals early. We had a disallowed goal for Sancho. We're hoping he can then kick on. Martial's influence is growing in the game. Bruno's linking in with him as well. Just overall, the first half was really good. But then we start seeing the warning signs towards the end of the first half. Sevilla having more of the ball. As you said on stream, looked like basketball. Literally, looked like LA Lakers versus Chicago, bro. Like back and forth. And we managed to get to the first half. Second half, bro, we might as well not have come out and played, bro.
Yeah.
Sevilla was all over us, man, from the get-go.
Probably would have saved the injuries.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. No, for real. And then we have our two big injuries that really can derail the season. And that's the luck of Manchester United, because you wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect your defensive pairing to both just crash in this game. But again, Sevilla's our bogey team, man, and they're proving why they're our bogey team time and time again. I think that's the frustrating thing.
That's the frustrating thing, absolutely. And, there's a lot of people that you can point out. But is there any big characters that you can say, you know what, if you turned up today, things would have been a lot better? Who's the guys that let us down today?
Malacia let us down. You know what? It's crazy because the first couple of minutes, he was going into challenges, he was winning the ball, he was up for it, and I was like, yeah, man, okay, cool, let's kick on. But reality is, man, in some of these games, he's still lacking that maturity, I think, in his play. He's very rash, sometimes very raw. Needs to be kind of, a little bit more mature in some of his play. He hasn't played a lot of football. I think he's come in now and again, but for me,
it's the worst he's been today.
Yeah, it's the worst. I think it's probably the worst performance for me. He had a bad time against Arsenal at one point, but I think this is his worst performance overall. I think a lot of the maturity and discipline weren't there. He's doing rash things like missing, he's just doing a madness, mistiming the ball over the top.
Let's talk about Jaden Sancho. Jaden Sancho had the ball in the back of the net after 30 seconds last night. He was ruled out for offside, correctly so. But I thought, okay, this is positive, and I thought the first half he looked lively, because I thought the front three just looked very fluid in general. But second half really, really dropped off. And the Sancho dilemma is still really, really interesting, isn't it? Because at the weekend against Everton, I thought he played well. He got an assist for the Scott McTominay goal. And that was a game in which we had a lot more possession. And actually, ironically enough, he started on the left, but his assist came off the right-hand side. What did you guys think of Sancho's performance last night? Sort of, as I said, second half sort of just drifted and wandered out of the game, kind of goes missing at points, still isn't there, still doesn't have the consistency, but it's a difficult one because at the same time, the thing is with Sancho is there is a reference point, isn't there? And the reference point is what he was doing at Borussia Dortmund. And it's not his fault, the money he's on, but he's on a lot of money. He's, fourth? Second highest paid player at the club, like the fifth highest paid player in the Premier League, something like that. So you expect more. You do expect more. But my question is, what do we expect from him? Are we expecting goals and assists every game? Are we expecting assists? Are we expecting him to look just dangerous in general? I think it's probably that for me at the moment. But second half, he completely fell off the edge of a cliff, and I still can't really put my finger on it. I don't know if it's still a confidence thing. Maybe it is. You do get the impression that his confidence is still really fragile, and to the point where even in one game or in the space of one half, he can just drop off. Because again, when he started, you feel like if that goal had counted after 30 seconds, he might have had the game of his life, but he didn't. I don't know. I think that is a dilemma. I think that is a dilemma. I mean, again, I think it's no coincidence that his best games have been in games that we've dominated possession. It's something that Cam had pointed out, that those kind of players play better when you do have 60, 70% of the ball. But that's not going to be every game. And I think there are questions maybe about work rate in terms of working off the ball as well. But I don't know anymore. Lil Yo-Yo says to me he doesn't work hard enough. Just Kevin says Sancho needs runners. Compost says I don't expect anything from Sancho. You don't sign a winger for the Premier League that has no pace and doesn't help his fullback. Lux Hill says the problem is he's at a club that is at a stage where we can't wait and we have little patience. So we might need to cash in our chips with him. Sancho. Love says Sancho obviously likes to link up, but with the price tag, people are going to want to see him get goals and assists after seeing what he did at Dortmund too. I think that's part of it. I do. Owen says when Sancho isn't playing well, he is completely useless. At least with Anthony, you get high intensity defending, etc. when he isn't playing well, and I think that's a good point. I do think there are people looking at Anthony saying, well, there have been games where Anthony hasn't played very well this season, but you know what you're going to get in terms of work rate. And the issue is with Sancho, isn't it, that if he's not on, then he might as well not be on the pitch because he really doesn't offer all that much. But when he is on, he can create. But we're still in that stage where we can't afford to carry many people, particularly in those forward roles. So that's part of it too. And again, I still think the expectations for Anthony have to be high because we know what he's capable of, and he hasn't hit those heights. I thought, to be honest, Anthony last night, particularly in the first half, I thought he was excellent. I thought it's the best half of football I've probably seen Anthony play. First 20, 25 minutes, he was all over Sevilla. They could not handle him. He looked sharp. He was getting crosses in. He was taking shots. He was even taking on defenders as well, which is, in terms of trying to go past them, not just, stop, flick the feet a little bit and give it back. I thought he was great first half. Like everyone kind of dropped off a bit in the second half, but he was a flashpoint. I thought he did well. That's what I want to see from my wingers. You want to see goals, and I think he probably could have had a goal or two, but I thought he played well and he affected the game. That's my key thing. He affected the game. And Sancho, we just didn't see that. We just didn't see him affect the game enough. Let's get some more reaction this time from Kenny. I spoke to Kenny after the game. Here's what Eric Ten Hag thought on the 2-2 draw.
We come out in the second half and oh my Lord, what's happened? We never got it. We never got going. Anthony and Sancho in the first half looked excellent. Sancho suddenly looked as though he'd lost all his confidence. We then started giving the ball away. They were then targeting Malacia. Malacia was like, you just knew that if anything was going to come from Sevilla, it was going to come from Malacia's side. But we never saw the first goal coming. We never saw the own goal. Anthony does what Anthony does, tries to get his usual entry for goal of the month. He misses with the first one. The second one, he hits the post, and it looks fantastic. But in reality, it wasn't, because we had two players on the line waiting for the pass to just tap it in. So Anthony was being a bit greedy. If he goes in and gets a worldie, we're 3-0 up and everybody's happy. But that didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, Varane doesn't come out for the second half. Bruno's got his book in, and then we start to make substitutions, and we made 5 substitutions. And did that impact the game? No, it takes Martial off at 2-0 up. I'm thinking, well, that's fair enough. But he then takes Bruno off as well. Now, he could have left Bruno on because Bruno's not playing next week anyway.
Exactly.
So it's not playing next week. So Bruno's the creative element. He's the creative side. So he brings Eriksen on. He takes Sancho off and brings Younger Langer on. Then all of a sudden, it's as if it's a nil apiece. It's as if like we weren't carrying that momentum. They then grow into the game. 85 minutes, I think it was. It was just before that. Malacia, he sees the player at the back of him. He looks behind him. He sees him. The ball comes across and he leaves it as though to let it run out. He nips in, but it comes off his leg, and then it's an own goal. It hits De Gea as well, and it's 2-1. And before we know it, we're all thinking, no, it can't be 2-1. This game was like a canter. This game was a canter. Then all of a sudden, the game changes. The game changes completely. Sadly for Martinez, just innocuous. He's just running forward, turns, and he just drops. And you've seen it before. You've seen it when people go down with crucial.
Big up Uncle Kenny, as always, after the game, coming in strong, giving us his thoughts and opinions. Eric Ten Hag. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well, guys. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's see how many likes we have at the moment. Just a quick check. We've got about 10 minutes or so left. We've got about 500 people watching, 125 likes. We're capable of more. Just like Jaden Sancho, we're capable of more. Maybe it's a bit harsh on Sancho, just a bit of a swipe. No, Jaden Sancho there. But if you haven't already, click a like on the like button as well. We've still got plenty of reaction to get into, about 10 minutes left. So let's get straight to the next clip. This time from Steph. Yes, I saw Steph was in the chat. Big up, Steph. Big up everyone there in UDHQ last night for the match view. KG spoke to Steph after the game. Here were her thoughts on United's 2-2 draw against Sevilla.
I knew it was too good to be true. In the first half, I just knew it was too good to be true. Like, do you know what? Yeah, every time I'm not cautious, because I'm always accused of being like the negative cautious one.
Yeah.
Every time I try and just branch out and be a little more positive, like I was for the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
This shit happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I need to revert back to type.
Yeah. Everyone's got to be themselves.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little miss negative or little miss cautious. Look, I think my main point to make today off the bat is just the injuries that we have. Like that's my main concern above everything else. I mean, we're going to be missing Bruno. Obviously, that's not because of an injury, but we're going to be missing Bruno for the next leg of this tie. What we've got, Duran, Martinez. We've already got Rashford and Shaw out.
Oh,
like, literally, it's diabolical. It's literally diabolical.
It's looking kind of McTominay-ish at centre-back.
No, I'll tell you what it's looking like. It's looking like A&E.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Hospital bed FC.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I just hope, honestly, I just hope that this doesn't impact the rest of our season as much as I think or as much as I anticipate it will.
Yeah, man. Again, like, how does Man United let go of a 2-0 lead, though, man? Where do you look to say they found themselves in a situation like this?
I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Do it.
I feel like the blame lies on Ten Hag a bit. I don't think that he needed to make those substitutions. A, as early as he did. B, 3 at the same time. And C, like, we were pretty comfortable. We were comfortable in the first half. Like, there wasn't really any need to make the substitutions or start making the substitutions as early as he did, which was the 60th minute with Martial. Like, there was just... I mean, unless he knows something that we don't.
Yeah.
You know, with Martial's fitness, I don't get it. And until we find out more... obviously, at the time of recording this, we don't know what the manager said because we haven't heard the post-match comments. But I'd be interested to know what Erik Ten Hag has to say about why he made those substitutions.
ANEFC, Steph said, so much hospital-related stuff that KG would actually have to go back on Theme Hospital, and he'd want to build another hospital because that's what he likes to do. Virtual reality games. That's what KG likes to do. This was quite interesting as well last night. So to give a bit of a backstory to this one, I'm doing all the stuff after the game, getting our clips together and, you know, back-end boring stuff. And then I see on our timeline, I see loaded in, I see Flex with someone that initially it took me a second to recognise. And I went, I recognise that face. Who is that person? Now, on your bingo cards, if you were playing last night, if you had Flex talks to Simon Le Bon from Duran, wow, you'd have been correct. I'd have thought you were crazy, but you would have been correct. That is indeed accurate. Flex spoke to the frontman of Duran after Manchester United's 2-2 draw with Sevilla at Old Trafford. And here's what Simon Le Bon said about his history of United and his thoughts on the game. I'm serious. Here it is.
Legend. Explain to our viewers exactly who you are and how long you've been supporting our beautiful club.
Hi, my name is Simon Le Bon, and I have been a United fan since 1968. In 1968, my dad called me into the living room. He said, Simon, you should come and watch this. And I walked in. On the black and white TV, I saw United beat Benfica in the European Cup final, and I've been a Red ever since. And I love this team.
I mean, Erik Ten Hag, since he's come in, has galvanised us and made us proud to support Manchester United once again.
Absolutely. Well, I've always been proud. I mean, you know, the thing is, you don't ever change your football team.
Exactly.
You know, you can change all sorts of things in your life, but you can't ever betray your football team. And one accepts, you know, the lows and the highs as well. So I think we're lucky now. I think we're going through a good period, and I love it. United.
Come on. Also, what do you think about tonight, just really quickly, in terms of,
It was an
2-0 up,
amazing match.
cruising, and now it just feels really
It
down
was,
at the end.
it was cruising, and I don't think it was. For me, it wasn't the 2 goals at the end that were the problem. It was the injuries. To see Martinez particularly go out with what looks like a nasty one that's going to keep him out for a while. That hurt me. That did.
Do you think we can fight back in Seville? Obviously it's going to be tough. We're missing some key players. Maybe Rashford will be back. Ten Hag did say in his press conference, which is good news. But do you think we can fight back and get through to the next round?
We are united.
Absolutely.
We always fight back.
Duran.
Look at that. Duran's own Simon Le Bon talks to Flex after the game. Incredible. And he's right. He's absolutely right, because Martinez, he said that hurt him, didn't he? He said Martinez hurt him, and it's really his mentality and it's his attitude that's been so fantastic for us this season. You could say that his attitude is, hungry like the wolf. Or you could say, I suppose, with the centre-backs that are out, that Martinez is out, Varane's out, we could maybe do with a Manchester United legend. We could do with, I don't know, someone like Rio. Wow. Can't even really think of a pun. I mean, girls on film? I don't. Forget it. No more Duran puns, It's not as if I spent hours in the writing room pitching that, trying to get it right. Forget it. That's the last time I ever do any Duran puns. Anytime I do any puns on a show like this, Match Day Reloaded, disgrace cheat. Come on though, Simon Le Bon. Simon Le Bon. Tremendous. That's not a soundboard. That's just a very, I planned that. I planned that exclusively for you guys this morning. If that's not worth a like, I don't know what is. Yeah. So be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. What's on tap for the rest of the day? Well, certainly we've got preview coming, because we do have a game against Nottingham Forest away at the City Ground. Really important. It's taken now a completely different view, hasn't it, when it comes to the players that are missing. So we're going to have preview for that. We're going to have obviously full match day experience, road trip settings on Sunday, match views, fan views, etc. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you haven't, if you're watching after the fact, how are you feeling after Manchester United's 2-2 draw against Sevilla? In addition to that, look, it may hurt and we may still be in a little bit of, a bit of shock about all this kind of stuff, and it may still feel like what happened, but we're not out of it. There is still plenty of the season to go. There's a second leg in Spain that we can still get the job done. I tell you what a perfect way to end the show. Take some advice from Simon Le Bon, yeah? We never give up. Manchester United never give up, and we keep fighting. That's the mindset that we need today. I'm out of here. Have a great Friday, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace!